Okay guys, so really fast I'm gonna show you the monster load. Man, spent whole day here, and the biggest chunk of time was wasted on hooking up the Stinger. The Jeep I hooked up in half an hour by myself, but the Stinger, man, they charged me 250 bucks US, of course. And the guy shows up with a forklift as big as a house, and I said, you guys don't have a smaller forklift, because it's not easy to load with this thing. And this guy doesn't have a clue how to do it, you know, how to move the миллиметровщик ебаный, блядь. Why do you need to be so close, you know? Anyway, yeah, this was like the easy part, but what I did to make things faster, you know, I was hooked up with a long neck, right? So I took away the long neck, I loaded the machine, and then I dropped the trailer, took the Jeep, and backed under the long neck. This way it's much faster than trying to hook up to the trailer with all this, you know, with the Jeep and this. So I just put a big block, one of my timber blocks, in here to support the neck. And loading was not, well, it took a while, and I had to make a couple of calls to the representative of the company. You know, my broker gave me a phone number of the guy that does servicing of these machines, and they say it's 105,000 pounds. So I put 1 pair, 2 pair, 3 pair, 4 pair, 5 pair, 6 pair. So I put 6 pairs of chains, so I'm good for 120,000 pounds. And then I have this. And loading, yeah, it just took me like, I don't know, half an hour trying to figure out how to operate this machine. It has joysticks, I'll show you guys later, but this was weird. I was really afraid that I'll be like 15 feet tall, and I had no choice. I had to load it like this. Basically, you know, where my bolts are over there. I hope it's pretty strong, but you know, I couldn't even put a timber in there. I just put the double rubber. Oh, and I asked the guy, I said, how can I put it down? Because there's cables in here. You cannot even put a timber in here, you know? It's like ridiculous. And he says, that plate, you see this? This plate is the only spot where the boom can sit on your trailer. And so I had to play with it. Was jumping in and out of the cab 20 times, you know, because as soon as you try to put it down, it moves everything, right? It pushes the rubber. And good thing I found the drawing on their website, and the drawing said that the center of gravity or center of mass is like, that's the rear wheels, right? The center of gravity is here, not in the center of this big thing, the big gear, but somewhere here. You know, they said it was 1900 millimeters from the center of the axle. It was 1900 millimeters, so 1.9 meters to the center of mass of this machine. And so I try to bring it as close to my signal light as possible, not to overload the truck, you know. But this thing dictated me where the machine had to sit on the trailer, because this was, if I cannot put this down, I'm not going anywhere, right? And so you have to move the machine to find the location for this mother, you know. And something happened here. I lost my metal plate. You guys see this? Because I noticed, like, why do I have all this open space, you know? Maybe it fell off. I remember the bolts were a little bit loose, you know, like this plate over here. This plate, I had the same plate over there. And I don't see any damage. I don't know if it fell out. That's just crazy, you know. But this thing, everything is hooked up. We're good to go. The lights should be somewhere here. Well, they're on. Yeah, so they should be flashing. So anyway, I climbed on the back, on the top, and I see what I did. I used bungee cords to tie to push down, pull down the hoses, and the top is 13 feet. Man, I'm a genius. 13 feet. And turns out the tallest point of this machine is not the boom, as I was afraid it would be, but the tallest point of this machine is actually the top of the cab, the plastic cab. So I'm not sure how I did it, but I managed to hide the boom, to make the boom lower than the cab. And the cab is, and I'm now in position 4, so I can still bring down like probably an inch. The top of the cab is 1310. Man, I'm so happy, because I'm telling you, I was driving this 900 miles down here, and I was thinking about this, because these machines, that's the biggest problem, how to fold the stick and the boom. Man, I'll do another video. I'll show you what how I learned how to operate this in 15 minutes with the guidance from a representative. And this machine is called FUCHS. Okay, anyway, so I got my South Carolina permit. I was afraid they would start sending me on some crazy detours, because I ordered it for 12 wide and 14.2 tall. I'm 13.10 tall, and I'm 9.8 wide. I'm not sure. See, every time, you cannot rely at all on the dimensions that you get from the broker. So anyway, right now I just want to do 50 miles, 80 kilometers back to the same track stop where I was, because I remember there was a spot there on the side where maybe I can find a spot, because it's already what, 5 o'clock. Let me just double check if I have any curfews in here. No travel staff, travel is prohibited, over posted bridges. Well, I never saw something like this. The towing vehicle must be a minimum 3/4 of a ton truck or truck tractor. Well, at least we satisfy that condition. Quarter-ton pickup truck required minimum for oversized load. Can you believe this? Anyway, so now it's a bit tricky here, but all I need to do is just get to this 26, right? And I'm staying on 26 for 117 miles. So that means that I can make that truck stop. Hold on, one more thing I forgot. Do they want me to have the flashing light on the roof? General conditions. Detour, vertical obstructions, must exercise caution, reduce speed. Towing vehicle must be okay. No, I don't see anything. So I'm not gonna use the. I have the flashing lights in the back. Now on the truck, I see I'm pretty light. And the broker says, I asked the broker if they can start the paperwork for the invoice, and he says, yeah, send us your banking information and we'll start on the wire transfer tomorrow. And I said, well, I already sent you my banking info. I guess you just need my invoice. So I'm gonna take care of that tonight. And also that truck stop, it had a scale, right? And so the plan is Like now I'm too tired, I just want to shut down and go maybe find a shower if they have a shower, and then tomorrow, and now I have to make up the invoice, and I have to prepare the permits. All right, this one is a bit low. I might need to jump out. No, it looks okay. It looks like a couple of inches. Like the front. I'm looking at the ramp in the front. The lowest point. And that's why I always say never buy a mechanical RGM, you know, because now if I saw that I was almost touching, I would stop, flip on my PTO. Yeah, I don't want to go on that plate. There's a steel plate there. And so I can flip on my PTO, raise the trailer, go over the railroad track, and then drop it back down. So yeah, the hooking up the Stinger was really a pain in the butt because the forklift guy was not very he was not experienced with this kind of thing, and he looks at me and I said, any suggestions, like why I cannot hook up, you know? I bring the bottom pins pretty much very close to where they can be hooked up. The top ones are off. You know, it was very confusing, but it was all because the rear of the Stinger was slightly off. And finally I had to tell to the guy, you know, just okay, push from the left, push from the right, raise this side, and maybe he felt better because he just came back from lunch, so I had to wait for him for an hour from 12 to 1. So yeah, that's what's going on. I'm not going there because there's a bunch of trees in there. And I checked the cab. The cab, you cannot even stand on it. It's all plastic, very shaky, you know. So if I go on some of these trees, if they have a big branch, it can crack that plastic, because I was able to push it and it was flexing, you know. So I gotta be really careful. But I'm telling you, man, I'm so happy that I'm 1310. I was so afraid I would be over 14. Oh, and another probably thing that added some gray hairs to the side of my head, because there's no hair on the top, right? But when I ordered my South Carolina permit on Friday, they were not able to get it to the DOT office because they closed at 3 o'clock here, and they didn't have my insurance, because I don't think I ever had an oversized load in South Carolina, so they never had my you know, certificate of insurance. And so I did that one on Saturday, and I Monday, of course, is a holiday, so Tuesday, when I'm today, this morning, I called my permit broker and I said, okay, so you guys working on my permit? I send you insurance over the weekend. And they said there was no emails. And I said, really? So I'm
Continue straight onto Mount Pleasant Street, then turn right onto the I-26 West ramp.
I think I'm going straight, yeah, here, because I came like this. And so I went into the office to check in at the port there, and the guy in front of me was taking a long time, so I ran back to the truck, started my computer, started the internet, found my email with the certificate of insurance that I issued. Now I can self-issue them myself, you know, like I just need the name of the company and the address, and I just put it down at the bottom there, bottom left. It says certificate holder. That's all they want. Like the South Carolina Department of Transportation wanted to see not just a general certificate of insurance of my coverage, but at the bottom they want to see certificate holder, Department of Transportation, South Carolina, and the address. And so I resent that, and I said, guys, I'm at the port here, and my broker says, my permit broker says, Sergei, I'm not sure you're gonna see the permit today. And I say, why not? And she's like, well, it's a super load, and she says South Carolina usually is not that quick. And I'm like, man, so what I'm gonna do? I'm pretty sure the port would not allow me to sleep in there, right? So I asked the security guy, you know, when I was checking in, I asked the security guy, and he says, no, you have to leave at 4:30. All right, and then I see a cop coming in, like a, you know, port police officer. And I said, excuse me, sir, I saw, you know, pretty wide shoulders over there, you know, where I was parked when I started the video. I said, is it okay if I wait there for my permit?
I-26 West ramp, then merge onto I-26 West.
And he says, how long do you plan to wait? And I said, I'm not sure. And he said, well, as long as you don't stay there overnight, you should be okay. If you just wait, you know, a few hours. Can you believe this? So I'm loading, right? I have no permit. I cannot go on the street. Like, technically, I'm not even supposed to go on that road where I was parked, you know, without the permit. But now I had the permit, so. And so the cop says, yeah, you cannot sleep here. You can wait for your permit. And so imagine, like, I'm standing in the office, and the guy is like moving at the speed of a turtle in the office. Of course, it's all trade union, right? He just walking very slowly. He says, okay, you have to pay. He says, you have to pay $250 for the unstacking of the trailer. So I do that, then I wait probably 40 minutes for the receipt. I said, the lady said she's gonna email you the receipt. And so he finally like saw my receipt after 40 minutes, honest to God. And then they escorted me to a spot where they would be working on me, and I'm telling you, it took like 2 hours. Oh, the worst part, the guy dropped my Jeep. I forgot to mention that. So we hooked up the chains, one on each side of this huge forklift, right? And the guy starts moving away from the trailer, and when he's clear of the trailer and the Jeep is still like 5 feet in the air, all of a sudden the chains shifted, because you know his forks are pretty slippery, right? And I guess he was off scent a little bit, So the Jeep shifted, and the whole rear side with the wheels went down and smacked on the concrete. So I'm looking at the guy and I said, "What is this?" And he's like, "Oh, I never saw something like this happen before." I said, "Well, it's probably you were off center." Like, basically, I'm telling you, this forklift guy was very hard to work with. But I checked the Jeep; it looks okay. Basically, the impact was mostly on the rear bumper, which is like solid steel, and the tires. You know, the tires cushioned the impact. So I checked, I didn't see any damage anywhere. So, but it was, and so then he starts lifting the Stinger, and I said, "Please don't drop this one." And he's looking at me kind of like I'm an asshole, you know. And I'm like, "Hey, this is expensive stuff, right? I paid you guys $250 to unstack the trailer, right? I didn't pay for you to drop things down." And he said, "Well, that's how you hooked up," you know. Like, well, you're the forklift guy. You tell me if you think that's not the proper way to hook up. You tell me, right? You know your freaking forklift. No, I'm telling you, this was like one crazy day today. And that's why now all I want is just get to a truck stop and shut down and get ready for tomorrow. I just want to get out of this Charleston with all these turns. Like, once I'm on the straight and narrow, I should be okay. Nobody will get hurt. Just don't bug me too much here, okay? And actually, I did turn on my rooftop light just to keep people on their toes a little bit. So yeah, and actually for the Stinger, just to make sure the guy doesn't drop it, instead of using 2 chains, I used 4. Because, you know, that's what I did with the Jeep. So the guy just put his forks over the Jeep. Like, the Jeep was like this, he put the forks like this, and I just did one side chain and then another. And of course that does not, if you're not exactly in the center, that does not prevent the Jeep from shifting, you know. And I'm guessing he was so far to the right, to the neck, and the wheels were heavy. But it's funny how he lifted it. He lifted it off the trailer. He moved back 5 feet. So he didn't drop it on the trailer. It just shifted when he was, you know, away from the trailer. At least that's good. Otherwise, he might have broken some, you know, the boards in the floor. He might have broken that one. Well, once again, my rig is the length of a small train. But it's like riding a bike, you know. And it makes it easier to go around corners. Like, you saw me going to that narrow ramp to 26. It was pretty narrow, but with the Stinger it's not a problem because the Stinger pushes you sideways. All right, where's the we're still not out of the bypass. You know, usually things get better when you cross the bypass, right? Like, I'm on I-26. Is there a bypass here? I don't even remember. after the bypass, everything is red. Looks like stopped traffic. Well, if they want me to push some cars out of the way, I can use the FUCHS. Like the boom on that thing, man. And you go inside, right? And I could not start it. So it took 3 phone calls. Finally I started, and then the service guy, I could hear that he was actually, as he was talking to me, because he couldn't remember the exact position of each switch, so he went back and grabbed the manual, and he was telling me exactly. He says, okay, you see the parking brake switch? It was like a button, like a touch sensitive button, you know. And I said, yeah. He said, well, next to that one, that's your swivel lock. And I'm like, what the heck is the swivel lock? Turns out it's, you know, this thing can rotate like an excavator, so that lock prevents the machine from turning. So okay, I said, what's the third one? Looks like a wheel with a block above it. He says, that's your, what was that? I forgot. But anyway, then there was another little switch for hydraulics, and I would never have guessed that there was a switch for it was like again a button, and the button has a picture of a joystick. Like, how is that hydraulics? Well, you know, it's a German machine. I guess in Germany maybe that's customary for them, so they put the joystick on that, basically meaning that if you don't push that button, none of your joysticks will work. And that's exactly what was happening. Like, I tried to, you know, the way this machine was parked, the boom was at 90 degrees to the ground, like straight into the sky, right? And so and I was touching the joysticks, nothing's working. I tell the guy, hey, I don't have any hydraulics. And so he told me where to look, and it was pretty cool. And then I said, okay, so oh, and there was a pictogram. There was a pictogram on the window, but like way to my right. I had to sit like at 60-degree angle to see it. But the pictogram had all kinds of, you know, arrows and buttons, and it shows you what each joystick does. And I quickly discovered that, yeah, the left joystick was for the stick. The left joystick was the stick, and it was for the grapple attachment when you have one. Like, I don't have one now, right? And the right joystick, oh, and also the left joystick was for turning the house or swivel. And that's why you have to disconnect that swivel lock. And the right joystick, I figure, was for the boom, like the top part, right? So stick is the arm, the lower part, like pretty much like on an excavator. And then I said, okay, so I don't see any, of course, any steering wheel. It's just 2 joysticks. I said, so I'm guessing I'm using I'm talking to the guy on the phone, right? So I'm guessing I'm using the right joysticks for the movement, like on big wheel loaders. Like, what do I use to steer? He says, no, you don't use the joystick. He says, you see two switches on the top of the joysticks, that of the joystick, so that you can use your thumb to control them. And I'm like, you kidding me, right? These 2 switches, like a side, you know, kind of like a little block, that's what you use for steering. So if you push the left one, it starts turning left, and you cannot see your wheels. You have no idea what your position is. And then if you push on the right one, it's like a very slow. I'm telling you, man, it was not easy. So it took me like 20 times going back and forth from the trailer to make sure that all the wheels were straight. I was not too much to one side. So I of course, there's nobody there. It's a port. It's all trade union. So you have to load by yourself. and I never operated this one, right? I had a similar Zenebogen. Remember that green one I took to Manitoba? But I did not load that one. When I went to the dealer put it on. And when I was unloading, the buyer, the new owner, took it off. I wonder if that machine was as weird as this one. But basically, yeah, you have two little switches on top of the joystick. That's your movement. And I said, okay. Oh, and he says, you see the little blue wheel at the foundation of the joystick on the you know, where your elbow sits? And it said it had plus and minus sign, just a little like a semi-circle, kind of like, you know, like what you use here, like a switch when you rotate, right? But it was inside, so you just again you use your thumb to rotate it. I said, what is that? He says, that's your RPM. And the switch is like this size. I'm telling you, very weird. I said, okay, I'm not even gonna ask you what's the one on the left is doing. I don't want to know that. I just want to, yeah, I want to know RPM, how to start the machine. Oh yeah, and starting, you turn the key, nothing happens. I look for any symbol with a spring. I see a symbol, I touch it, nothing happens. So when I'm talking on the phone with this guy, I say, how do I start this thing? I said, the key, I cannot move the key any further. Like the key is at the utmost position, so my monitor is lit, I have power, and yeah, before that I asked the port guy to show me where the master switch for the battery was. And so that's, of course, can be a nightmare on some machines if you don't know where it is. If you don't turn it on, you have no power. And so I see power. I have my monitor is on. I can see the cameras in the back. You know, everything is working, but I cannot start the machine. He says, look to your right near the window. There's a button that says start and stop. Man. So basically, you turn the key, leave it in that position, and then you push that button. But I could not see the button because there's a joystick here. So you have to know that that button is there because you have to go like this. I'm telling you. That's okay. I started the machine, and now I knew what the right joystick was doing. And basically, it's for the boom, right? The left one is for the stick, and turn the house. The switches, the sliding switches on the top of the right joystick were for the steering. And I said, okay, last stupid question. How do I put it in drive? I said, I see two pedals in the floor. What do they do? I'm guessing one of them is the brake. What's the other one? He says, the other one is actually your go pedal. He says, look on your monitor. You see you'll see two arrows. One will show to the top, like a white arrow on the screen, and you can switch it to show like this. So I said, that's how I choose my direction. He says, yeah, just make sure your foot is on the brake. You came to a complete stop, and then you can tap that spot on the monitor, and the arrow will change from this position to this. That means that you're going backwards. Like, man, it's a pretty complicated machine, you know, especially if you've never driven before. And so as soon as you put it into, let's say, in the forward, right, you click the parking brake button below the monitor, and then you just push the go pedal, as I call it, and it starts going either forward or backwards depending on which way the arrow points. So yeah, it was interesting. And actually I started the camera, but when I went, I thought I would show you guys like loading, right? But then when I went to the machine, it was taking so long to get it started and get acquainted with all the controls. I figured, wait a second, so I'm gonna run out of battery power. and it's recording nothing to record, right? The truck is just sitting next to the trailer. And so I ran back to the truck and turned off the camera. Otherwise you guys will be very upset with me, right? So actually now would be a good time to do that flyby, you know, with the drone, but now my drone, it's all I forgot to turn on my atomic generator to charge my laptop. Nuclear power plant. All right, how far is my truck stop? 60 kilometers. 40 miles. And also the good news is, right, so the guy said I would be 11'10" wide. I'm 9'6" wide. And so I'm 13'10" tall, 9'6" wide. Beautiful.